Airports are full of secrets. Not the obvious ones you hear from travel blogs or the recycled tips everyone repeats like they discovered them yesterday. I'm talking about the real insider knowledge, the stuff you only learn if someone in your family is a pilot or has worked behind the scenes long enough to see how airports actually operate. There is an entire hidden layer of information the public never sees, and once you understand it, airports suddenly become a completely different place. You start walking through them like someone who knows exactly what's happening out of view. And today, we're going to break down 12 of those secrets. Welcome to Passport Pointers, the channel that pulls back the curtain on travel with honesty, humor, and just enough sarcasm to make the truth go down easier. Today, we're diving into the 12 airport secrets only pilot families know. These are the tricks, behaviors, patterns, and behind-the-scenes realities that explain why airports feel chaotic but still somehow manage to function. Once you know them, you'll spot things the average traveler completely misses and navigate airports like someone who has spent years watching how the system really works. The first secret is that pilots almost never use the same security lanes passengers use. They have dedicated access points that bypass the crowds entirely. And these aren't just faster lanes. They're fully separate checkpoints that are often hidden in plain sight but only accessible to crew. What this means for you is simple. If you ever see a cluster of pilots or flight attendants walking with purpose, follow them. Not too close, because you are not going through the same door, but close enough to see which area of the terminal they avoid. Any area pilots consistently walk past without even glancing at tells you everything. That section is inefficient, congested, or notoriously slow. Pilot families learn quickly that if the crew won't use a certain part of the airport unless forced, you shouldn't either. And no, they can't take you through the crew lane, but watching where they go, and especially where they don't go, is one of the easiest ways to avoid headaches. The second secret is that airport restaurants don't have the same food safety oversight as typical city restaurants. Pilot families know which terminals have the best and safest food because crew members talk. They know which places give people stomach issues, which ones serve reheated meals passed off as fresh, and which restaurants run out of ingredients so often that half their menu is basically fiction. There's a reason pilots bring their own meals. It's not because they're picky, it's because they've seen the kitchens, they've heard the stories from other crew members, and they know which airports have such inconsistent food handling that it's safer to eat before you arrive. If you ever wondered why your pilot walks onto the plane holding a small cooler bag instead of trusting the terminal options, it's not an aesthetic choice. It's survival. The third secret is that the seat you get on a plane can be heavily influenced by airport operations you never see. Pilots learn early in their training which gates consistently cause boarding delays, which runways cause turbulence on takeoff, and which aircraft types are more likely to experience maintenance checks before departure. Pilot families learn that if the flight is departing from a notoriously congested gate, you want an aisle seat near the front because delays are common and you'll want to get off quickly if there are cascading cancellations. If the takeoff path is known for wind pockets, a seat over the wing gives you a smoother ride. These small insider choices stack up and determine whether your airport experience is smooth or stressful. Most travelers just hope for the best. Pilot families plan around the inconvenience. The fourth secret is that the gate agents know far more about delayed flights than they ever say out loud. Pilot families hear the backstage version. When an airline says a delay is due to weather, that doesn't always mean bad weather where you are. It could be weather in the city where your plane is coming from or weather along the path your plane has to fly. It could also be an aircraft swap, a late incoming crew, or a maintenance issue no one wants to explain in detail. The reason you hear vague announcements is because airlines are trained to keep their explanations short to avoid legal issues, passenger panic, and endless questions. Pilot families learn this early because the crew gets the real memo. So if you ever hear the words awaiting paperwork, that's usually code for something more complicated than paper. If you hear operational delay, that means they don't want to explain the real reason. And if they say waiting on crew, that means your flight is nowhere near ready. The fifth secret is that pilots always know when the airport is about to get chaotic. There are certain signals crew members rely on that regular passengers never notice. One of them is seeing clusters of pilots and flight attendants suddenly checking their phones at the same time. That usually means a weather system is approaching, air traffic control issued new restrictions, or there's been a domino effect of delays somewhere else. Pilot families know that when crew members start moving faster or changing their routes through the terminal, something is happening behind the scenes. When pilots walk calmly but intentionally, the airport is functioning. When they start checking their watches or whispering to gate agents, things are about to get messy. The sixth secret is that the "this flight is full" announcement is not always true. Pilot families learn quickly that airlines overstate full flights to manage expectations. Sometimes a flight is technically full on the manifest, but several passengers haven't checked in or are coming from connecting flights that are delayed. Sometimes the airline wants to discourage people from asking for seat changes or upgrades, and sometimes they're trying to trick people into gate checking their carry-ons to speed up boarding. The truth is that pilots get the actual seat count for weight and balance purposes, and pilot families know that an overbooked flight does not always mean a physically full cabin. If the airline tells you the flight is full, but you see the gate agent printing multiple standby slips without stress, there's a good chance seats are still open. The seventh secret is that airport bathrooms are not created equal. Pilot families know that the worst bathrooms are always the ones immediately after security. They're overused, understaffed, and never get a break. The cleanest bathrooms are usually in the far corners of the terminal or next to empty gates between flight banks. Crew members always use bathrooms near the ends of concourses or near international arrivals because they're cleaned more frequently and used less often. If you ever see a flight attendant heading toward a bathroom with purpose, follow them. They know exactly which ones have hot water, soap, and paper towels. All luxuries not guaranteed in the high traffic areas. The eighth secret is that the shortest lines are rarely the lines you think they are. Pilot families know that the line that moves fastest at security is not the shortest one, but the one with the most experienced travelers. A line full of families, strollers, oversized bags, and confused passengers is going to move at a snail's pace even if it looks short. But a line full of people wearing backpacks, carrying laptops, and already holding their IDs, that line will move 3 times faster. Pilot families learn to scan the line, not the length, and if you want to speed things up even more, always choose the lane to the left. Studies have shown most travelers subconsciously choose the right side because they follow their driving habits. The left side is consistently faster because fewer people instinctively choose it. The ninth secret is that airports know exactly when passengers are likely to overspend, and they design terminals around those behaviors. Pilot families know which terminals are designed to funnel you past shops that look like shortcuts but actually detour you into retail zones. They know which airports intentionally place restaurants far from gates, so passengers panic buy food. Out of fear they won't find anything closer. They know which airports blast the smell of cinnamon or popcorn through vents to trigger impulse purchasing. These tactics aren't random. They're psychological strategies airports use to get passengers to spend money while they wait. Pilot families avoid the traps. Everyone else walks right into them. The 10th secret is that pilots can tell when a terminal is dealing with staffing shortages long before an announcement is made. If you see pilots talking to each other with raised eyebrows or glancing toward certain gates, it usually means the airport is understaffed for the next rush of flights. Pilot families learn that when the airport is short on ramp workers, baggage handlers, or gate agents, delays are practically guaranteed, but the airport will never tell you that. Instead, they'll use phrases like operational challenges or slight delays while they scramble behind the scenes. If you see a pilot casually mentioning that their gate isn't staffed yet, take that as your early warning and prepare accordingly. The 11th secret is that the real reason some airports feel chaotic has nothing to do with passenger volume. Pilot families learn that airport chaos often comes from outdated layouts, poor runway design, or terminals that haven't been renovated since the 1970s. Pilots talk among themselves about which airports require bizarre taxi routes, which ones have chronically understaffed security teams, and which ones have bottleneck choke points they've been warning the airport about for years. Passengers think chaos just happens. Pilot families know it's often the building's fault. The 12th and final secret is that pilots can predict cancellations before the general public hears about them. If a weather front is moving in, if the crew is about to time out, if the aircraft is known to have recurring maintenance issues, or if the incoming plane hasn't taken off yet, pilots already know the chances of cancellation are rising. Pilot families learn to read these subtle signs long before the announcement hits the speakers. So if your pilot is still not on board, close to departure time, or if you see the flight crew standing around without boarding passengers, that's a clear indicator something is coming. Before we continue, if you're enjoying these insights, hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow and guarantees you won't miss the next set of travel strategies designed to help you fly smarter in 2026. We post weekly videos that help you navigate airports, airlines, and modern travel with confidence. Airport operations are complicated, layered, and full of tricks the average traveler never hears about. But now, you know the 12 secrets that pilot families rely on every time they step into a terminal. Use them and you'll start to see the airport the way the crew sees it. Not as chaos, but as a system with patterns you can learn and predict. Thanks for watching Passport Pointers, and I'll see you in the next video.